We are rolling. State your full name.
Yep, Aulden Knight Sr.
All right, and where you from?
I'm from Akron, Ohio.
From Akron, Ohio.
Yeah, born and raised here.
So, born and raised in Akron, Ohio. Obviously, I know some things about you, but I want to hear from you. What was childhood like for you? You were raised by your mother and father, or how did that work out?
Well, I was raised by my mother, my grandmother, and then of course my sister. She was more like a mother figure to me as well. As far as my father, I didn't know my father. I had a stepfather at home that I was raised by.
And your stepfather, what was that relationship like?
It was a pretty good relationship. You know, there were a lot of things that he did that I kind of emulated and tried to kind of copy. Some of those were good, some were bad, of course, you know. Some of the bad traits and characteristics was, you know, alcoholism, you know, so I drank a lot. I was introduced to alcohol at a young age. He ran to like the VFWs, the American Legions, things like that nature, and as a young kid, you know, he would take me with him, you know. While he worked, and sometimes I would be his designated driver. So at a young age, I learned how to drive a car at like 12 years old, and but I was also introduced to some partying and some drinking and stuff at that age. But overall, I mean, he was a hard worker, you know. So he did things like baseball, softball, stuff like that. So he introduced me to, you know, parts of sports that I hadn't done before, and so I got a lot of good things out of it, but you know, some things, of course, you got the good and the bad.
Right. What was his name?
His name was Clarence.
Clarence.
Yeah.
How was that relationship in turning into adulthood? Was he there throughout your life, or?
Yeah, he was. So he passed away in like '96, though. So it was a couple years after me graduating high school, you know. But yeah, he was there for all of that, you know. He was a big fan, so.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What was his influence on you as a father and kind of your perspective? I know you say you picked up some of those habits and things of that nature. How did it change your perspective, or did it change it, or was that the only, you know, model you had? Okay,
well, that wasn't the only model I had, but in terms of how he helped changed my perspective. He was one that did not accept excuses, you know, and I'm the kind of guy today who's the same way. I don't like people who make excuses, you know. One thing about him, like, we had our chores, you know, so part of my success with my business is some of the things he made me do even when I didn't want to do it. But if he come in the house and your job was to do the bathroom this week, and that bathroom wasn't clean, if he stumbled in at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you got up out the bed and you had to get that bathroom clean. And your job was to mow the lawn. If you didn't have that lawn mowed, oh, you gonna get up and mow that lawn, you know. Yeah, so he was like really disciplined, you know, in terms of making sure you got things done, no excuses. So that was really good for me. I had other influences, you know. One of the greatest influences of my life was Pastor Burrell, John Milton Burrell. He was my father in the ministry, you know, and after 61 years of pastoring and ministry, I'm the only person that he ever licensed and ordained for ministry. So he saw something in me, even as a young man and as a child, that I didn't even see in myself. So he was a great influence on me too.
Yeah. That's a huge pivotal moment, I would assume, right?
For sure.
And he was pretty well respected around the community.
Oh, nationally. Yeah, he was known very well in the city of Akron, but all across the nation. Yeah.
What do you think he saw in you?
I think he saw what I displayed today. You know, I'm very intentional. I'm very passionate about what I do. And anytime, you know, I go to do something, I'm gonna always do my best. He saw I have a heart for people. But he also saw in me that I had a love for God, because he always would say that. He said, as a young kid, you know, at the age of 6, they would as we walk around the church, and they always say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always said I was going to be a pastor. And I said that because I was emulating him.
Right.
You know, I tried to walk like him. I tried to talk like him, tried to dress like him. You know, and then I watched how he treated his wife, you know, and that was one of the areas that I struggled in. As I tried to emulate him, I struggled with my marriages. But it was because I was trying to be a playboy, you know, and got the look, I got everything going for me, you know, so I would always use that to my advantage, but I also use it to self-sabotage myself at times too. But yeah, man, having him in my life was just, he taught me really how to be a man. Yeah.
I have two questions with that. So the first thing is, when did you meet Pastor Burrell?
I was 6 years old when I went, yeah. Pretty unique. I went to church one Sunday morning, and I came home and told my family all about it. And so I led my family to the church, you know, and so that was something that was pretty unique for me. Not to Christ, because they were Christians, but we weren't a church-going family.
Right.
Before, we were just being bused to like Akron Baptist Temple. The buses would come pick us up in our neighborhood and take us to Sunday school and bring us back home. And I enjoyed that, but it just didn't really resonate and sit completely in me. So I got up and went to church one Sunday over there, Prince of Peace, and it was right down the street, so I walked, and I was like, wow, when I seen this guy, I mean, this man was just, his countenance and everything about him just displayed like Christ, you know, and it displayed someone that almost, of course no one's perfect, but almost perfection, you know what I mean? And so I immediately said, I want to be like him, you know? And so that was a big influence on me. So I think he saw in me those things that I display today, you know? And I also, he didn't have a son here with him. So I think that he wanted a son,
Yeah.
you know? And so he treated me as his son at all times, you know.
Do you think, because what I hear is you had these two powerful, monumental figures that gave you guidance, but one kind of gave you a certain perspective and the other one gave you a different perspective, and it sounds like you actually took both of those on, and you were kind of, there was some type of tension between those two.
Yeah, so I wrestle with being in the church. Same thing today, you know, same qualities today that I have to kind of ward against myself, being in the church, but yet being from the street.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And having made some mistakes, brainless decisions, wrong turns in my life, and had to pay the penalty for that. Kind of just trying to create a balance for both.
Yeah.
But I think that I've done a fairly well job. You know, I think that I'm making an impact in both worlds and have made an impact in both worlds. And I'm pleased with that, you know. I always say that God gave me the best of both worlds, you know, so I got to experience the world and been in the world, and even so today, still have my foot in some of that in the world, and then being in the church and being in a spiritual walk and trying to guide people and love people and show people that God loves us in spite of who we are. So that was kind of like a war against itself. Kind of like Paul talks about it in the Bible. He said, every time I try to do good, evil's always present. You know, he talks about the members in his body warring within themselves, you know, your mind, your heart. You know, you got to outlove people that even sometimes hate you, you know, being in this gospel. But the world side of me says, no, you turn this cheek, I'm going to turn that cheek. That's what the turn the other cheek means, huh? You know, we don't know, you know, so it's been pretty cool.
There's a lot there.
For sure.
And we could probably dig into that more, but I want to ask you, when you had your first child, or you had your first experience as a father, rather, what was that like for you?
Okay, so my first experience as a father was before I had a biological child. And it was like everything that was in me, I wanted it to be in him. So more so, not the bad qualities, but the good qualities. And it's like I immediately wanted to raise the child to be better than me. And so that's how I view all my children. I want all my children to be better than me, you know. And so that was immediately before I even had my own biological child. That was the thought process, that if I can make him better than me. Yeah.
When you had your own, and you started, maybe you had another child and another child, whatever that looked like for you, did that change, or did it grow? Did it get richer? How did that mindset and that perspective of you being a father and wanting your child to be better than you, how did that transform over time?
I would say over time, I think it kind of, I would say, grew a little deeper, you know, because, you know, having this mindset and this desire to make sure that your child is better than you, or your children are better than you, then you end up having multiple children. You see all of them have different qualities and characteristics and personalities. They all have to be loved, but you gotta love them differently.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of like, especially even first I had all boys, and now I got 2 little girls. You know, before my boys, you know, they fall. I say it ain't bleeding, you know, and if it is, let's rub some dirt on it. You know, get up. You know, they fall, like, get up, don't cry. You know, but now the girls, you know, I don't even want them to fall. You know, I'm trying to catch they fall before they fall, you know, and now I'm seeing myself as they're getting older. I'm getting a little tougher on them now. Yeah. So now it's like, just because it hurt, you don't gotta cry. Right. You know, like, get up, you know, and, you know, do it yourself. Daddy, can you carry me? No, you got your own legs, you know. So over time, it's just like, each child brought about a difference in me. But it was all joy, man. I wouldn't trade it in for nothing. Sure. Yeah.
And how many kiddos do you have?
Well, I have 5 biological children, but a total of 9. Yeah, total of 9. Yeah. That's
a big number.
It is, man. But the blessing is, man, that God has always blessed me to be able to take care of my children. Yeah. You know, so, and that's what I love about it. You know, personally, I've never been in a system in terms of needing, you know, food stamps and any of that. You know, we've had it in our time, but it wasn't because we needed it or because I had to have it. God has always made a way. Yeah. You know, and so that's the joy of that. Yeah, being able to take care of them kids, and in spite of where I came from, because it wasn't always like that for me growing up. You know, my children, you know, we don't have to experience our lights off, our water off, our gas off, you know, being evicted out of a house. So, you know, God always made a way. If we had that eviction, which we had in the past, God made a way for it to happen. You know, if a car, issue with a car, oh, God made a way for us to get another car, you know, so it was always a blessing, man, to have those kids and knowing that they gave me something to strive for and work for.
Yeah. As you got older, as you became a father and you have all these kiddos to take care of, your kiddos get older too, right?
For sure.
And some of them leave, some of them come back. How was that experience for you, having kids in different places and still trying to be a father to these people or to these children that are all in different areas?
Yeah, so you know, one of the things that's unique about me is I allow everybody to be themselves. Mm-hmm. You know, so even as the kids moved away and went their own separate ways, you know, I felt like I'm here for you. You know, they didn't, you know, like even when you moved away, you didn't call on me. You know, you didn't need my help. You were on your own journey. You'd be becoming your own man. But you knew I was here for you. You know, same thing with my other kids. They know I'm here. You know, if they need me financially, if they need me to come to them, if they need me to come move them, whatever they need, I'm there. So it's been fun. It's been fun, but it's been heartbreaking too, because, you know, very seldom have I had all of my kids together. Right. You know, and because we're so distant in terms of mileage, that's what's hindered that. But other than that, man, you know, being a distant father, everybody gotta learn for themselves, gotta grow up for yourself, gotta choose for yourself. I'm here to advise, I'm here to counsel, I'm here to assist and help, but that's the best I can do.
Yeah. If you were to ask all of your kids, 2 of them may be a little too young, but
yeah,
now that we're all adults for the most part, about how they viewed you as a father, how you did as a father, what do you think they would say?
Well, it depends on when you ask them. Now, you know, if you ask them, like right after, you know, one of them be like, hey, can you Zelle me? You got something on Zelle? Can you, or you Cash App? I'm a good father there, you know. But if I say no, then who knows, you know. But overall, I think that all my children would say that, you know, I wasn't always at my best, but I always did my best for them. You know, I think that they would all have good, positive things to say. I doubt that any of them would. I'm sure the good would outweigh the bad. You know.
Okay. Yeah. Being that, I think many of us have experienced. You know, you didn't have your biological father.
Right.
You're like, you know, some of your children didn't have their biological fathers there. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was you that was distant from them. How do you operate in that space, right? Being in that space, dealing with the kiddos, distant, and then we're not talking about from a relationship standpoint with the kids, but their mothers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, the one thing that I've always tried to do, it hasn't happened that way, but thanks be to God that now things are evolving as we're maturing and growing older. You know, even with, you know, some of my kids being distant and the mothers being away, didn't have the best relationship. I'm the kind of person that I feel like if our relationship doesn't last, if we don't work out, ain't no need of us walking away bitter, disliking each other, hating each other. It just didn't work, you know, for whatever reason it is. And so I had to develop a mindset that whatever choices the woman made or whatever choices I made. So I developed the mindset that she didn't hurt me. She didn't do me wrong, or should I say, she did what was right for her. And so as I gained that mindset, which I call it an elevated mind, as I took on that mind elevation, then what I did was, however they felt is how they feel. I can't change that. Everyone's in control of their own feelings, emotions, desires, dreams, goals, etc. But I just had to just accept wherever they were, wherever she was, you know. And so I have two others, other than my current wife now, two other women that I have children with. And one of them I'm really great friends with, you know, have been for years now, even after our divorce. But then the first child's mother, my first baby's mom, we didn't have a great relationship, but we do now. We're talking now, we're communicating now. And so it's good. It's good to know that the three women that I've had children with, I can get along with all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a blessing.
It is.
As again, you know, as we progress and you started kind of experiencing these different versions of your children, different versions of the relationships with their mothers, your children start having kids.
Yeah.
So you become a grandfather in a lot of different ways, and you know, that's his own experience, I would imagine.
For sure. For sure.
Can you say a little bit about that?
Yeah. You know, so it's really funny because I'm looking at my grandchildren now, and as I look at them, I'm seeing their parent all over again, or evolving, you know. And I'm looking at, and I love the way, you know, so, with my grandchildren, how they're being reared. You know, you're doing a tremendous job. Alex is doing a great job, and I'm loving that, you know. But it's kind of funny because it's like, I would love to be able to do more, you know, with the grandchildren. And so that's something that I have to really make sure that I become more intentional about, and more so hands-on versus just being a financial support. You know, it's easy to, well, here, I'm gonna give you some money and you do this for the kids and do that, you know, like with your mom, here, take care of the kids, do this, do that. But I be able to be more present is what I want. So it's bringing a lot of joy to me to see them, but just seeing y'all and the kids, you know, it's like amazing to see y'all and see them kids like doing some of the same things you did when you were little, and stuff like that is really cool.
What does Father's Day mean to you?
Father's Day means to me, I look at it like an opportunity for the men to be celebrated. You know, oftentimes we gotta be strong, we gotta provide, we gotta work so hard. Oftentimes we're doing so much to try to satisfy, please, and show our value to everyone else. I think Father's Day is a day that others and our children get to show us how much they value us and how much they appreciate the sacrifices that were made. My Father's Day is really geared around me and my children. Again, because my biological father wasn't there. And the man that I knew as my father, as my biological father, is gone on. And then the one that others have said was my father, he gone too. And neither one of them ever did anything for me. So therefore, Father's Day for me is really only about me and my children. I remember Clarence, and I always remember him, and I'm thankful for him. And then I remember Pastor Burrell, who were the two biggest male influences of my life. And I used to show them love and value, how much I value them on Father's Day too. But now that they're gone, Father's Day to me is really only about, you know, me and my children, you know. Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah.
This has been real good, and you know, being able to speak to you in this setting, like I said, learning new things about you, your perspectives and stuff like that. I hope that others receive it the same way I do.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.